Happy Tuesday. Fata Tuesday. That's what I've landed on for Tuesday Fata Morgana streams. Fata Tuesday. Let's see here. We've gathered here to read more of this story that makes you feel things. Recap. Tonight's recap done by compiled by the intern I most definitely have. So if it sucks, blame them. Let's see. We start as we've been starting for the last few streams. It seems like Giselle and Mikkel talking about stuff. I think they're talking about like crushes, because they're like, let's just talk about some easy shit for a while. Like, let's talk about some lighthearted stuff. And then of course Mikkel brings down the mood, and he's like, "Oh, my first crush was my brother's fiance or something." And Giselle's like, "Okay." "I'm sorry I asked. This is really awkward. Okay." And he's like, "It's fine. It doesn't fucking matter." And then things are bad or go bad or whatever. And he's like, I assume this is now in the current present time. He's like, I gotta talk to the painting person because I got a key from them. And I think I need like 3 keys to go up to the watchtower, because I think the watchtower is where I need to go because it's got 3 padlocks or something on it. So he goes to the painting person, and the painting person's like straight up weirdly like short-circuiting, not helpful, might be in trouble, might have been sabotaged a bit. We don't know. We need 3 keys to get to the watchtower. So then basically, because it's the number 3, immediately I had clocked. Where are we at with audio on here? Oh fuck. We had sorry, turn that down even more. We had clocked that the 3 keys are most likely, what else have we done in groups of 3 at this point? The number 3 eras that we've been to. So basically, it's like, okay, well, I guess we'll go to through the different doors and the eras and get keys or whatever. And this was all kind of, I mean, this felt like, I don't know, I don't want to sound judgmental, but very much like, kind of like a half-baked reason to go see the different people again, like go and re-experience those eras or whatever, have Mikkel go through those again for whatever fucking reason, just basically to let us know, like, oh, remember these things that you spent the beginning of the game with. So it was like, it just felt like an excuse to go see them, but it's like, you must get the keys, so you gotta do it. So hello, I was dying during the blood part last week. Hopefully we're past it. Doubt. yeah, that was tough. It was tough. Okay, so then it's like the game made me choose the order of where we go to the different doors, and it was like a very light puzzle. Like, I say light puzzle, I mean, like, I don't know what would have happened if I chose the doors out the wrong way, if it would have been game over, or just told me that I was bad and wrong and wasn't paying attention. But it was very much just like, go to the areas that represent the doors. It was like the rose garden, and then it was the cellar, and then the pool table room den thing, I think they called it. So we got to go to the 3 doors, and then all of the 3 guys we kind of meet through there that are bad or had bad things happen to them. The main focused guys of each era, we meet them as like shadow entities. And so we have Shadow Mel, and he's like in the garden, and Mikkel's like, I need a key, give me the key. And he's like, yeah, go, I dropped it in the thorny bramble. Put your hand in there. And then he's like, there was this long intense scene where he's like putting his hands in the roses and like cutting up his hand in like this magical way, and he's like, I gotta fucking get this key. And at some point, Mel's like, I'm sorry, mister, I was lying, because I guess I was told not to let you get the key easily or something. And Mikkel's like, what the fuck? Like, what is that all about? And then so Mel's like, also, if I give you this key, can you like help me, mister? And Mikkel's like, yeah, sure, totally. This is a totally binding contract of help. I will definitely help you. Not like I give a fuck about you at this point. Like, I'm trying to help Giselle and this Witch Morgana situation. Like, I'm like, Mikkel probably doesn't give two flying fucks about this Shadow Mel person, but whatever. Maybe that'll be to his detriment. I don't know if there's going to be any repercussions to that. But Mel is like, help me, sir. And he's like, you just made me cut up my hand. Like, I mentioned it in the last stream, but like the old school Fear Factor show where it was like, you must eat 10 bugs or do this really difficult or painful thing and for money or something. And it was just like, what the fuck was that? So then we experienced that, and I was like, okay, so then the other two doors are gonna, surely, they're also gonna be excruciating, like, challenges or mental blocks that Mikkel is gonna have to overcome. And almost to an hilarious matter, like, a hilarious situation, like, it actually quite the opposite. He goes to the second ear door, and we have Beastia Man, Tsukimasa, or whatever the fuck his name is that I can never remember. I always say Tsukimasa. That's not even close. It's like Kiramasa or whatever the fuck. Beastia Man. And he literally just stands there, and even Mikkel marks, he's like, oh, I'm gonna have to like sword fight you or something, and this is gonna be very challenging because this little kid made me reach into the thorny bramble. And Beastia Man was like, no, just fucking take this key, and just tossed in the key and then disappeared, like noped out of there. It was so, like, both to Mikkel and me as the reader, I was like, this is so funny that like the first door, Ira, they made this big deal of him having to like fucking navigate this construct with Mel, and it was this thing and painful, and it was like the second guy was like, I don't know, as maybe a different time in my life I would fight you or something, but I just don't give a fuck. And it's like, okay, now we have no idea what the third door is gonna do. So then we go and it's of course Pinocchio in his billiards table, and Pinocchio, he sees Mikkel, and he also sees the other two keys, and he's like, oh, I'll give you my key, but you have to take me with you. I need to go talk to Morgana the witch. And Mikkel's like, I don't know if it really works like that. And while they were like about to go back and forth about like, I don't really think I can like help you, Pinocchio Man, he just like faded away, like it was like just into dust. And it was like, Mikkel's like, okay. So the hardest door ended up feeling like it was Mel for some reason, and then the other two a cakewalk at that point. It was kind of weird. I'm gonna be honest. As a reader, I was like, this is fucking weird, and it even made me reinforce more that I was like, oh, this is just us re-experiencing the other doors because the game just wants us to remember that we spent a good chunk of the first beginning part of the game with these era through the doors and these characters that we can't just fully discard yet because maybe they have some importance later on. Who fucking knows? Can't wait to see Mel again for the 17th time. So then he starts going up the watchtower, and the Witch Morgana is like, okay, if you want to see her or whatever, you must listen to my depressing backstory. Because at this point, obviously we're now many streams into this game, but this game is primarily told through the perspective of like backstories and flashbacks and whatnot. Like everything that's happening in the current is very little. It's like, I don't know what the exact percentage split is, but we're at like probably like 95 to 5% split if I'm being generous. So Morgana's like, it's my fucking turn to give you my heart-wrenching backstory. And so he's like, all right, I guess I'll listen because I don't have a choice, I guess, because it's just this voice in my head. Morgana, the witch's voice in my head. So she's like, okay, as a small little baby child, I was propped up by my mom to say that I was like a holy child being thing. I was born of like a godlike conception situation, whatever the fucking thing. Most likely, obviously not true. The mom was doing things. She was hard up for money. And situations and everything, obviously not great living conditions, and this seemed to be like some kind of like kookamani cocked up story, because fucking, what do I gotta lose? Look at my child, blessed child, is the saint or whatever. And then she basically touted the kid as like this miracle child who could cure people with her blood and stuff. Of course, evil religious connotation shit and everything like this. So, great. I have this child that I gave birth to, and I slept with no man to have this child. So clearly she's so special and has this ability. And then, like, it gave, like, the first instance of this, right? She, like, cut her hand or arm or something and put some drops of blood in some guy who was bound to be sick or die or something, and he got... I would assume it's some kind of placebo-like effect. He didn't die or something, or delayed dying, or... But everyone was like, oh, that's proof that this kid is a miracle child. Oh, this is great. And, of course, the mom milking the child as much as she can, because, of course, what I had said previously. So yeah, she basically had to keep keep giving her blood, the kid, and the game went into detail about talking about how it left her both physically and mentally and emotionally scarred and bloodied and bruised, and however you want to put it. A physical representation of the emotional toll it was probably taking on her as a child. Both a physical thing you can see, and also we're being told mentally that, like, this is not great for a kid to have to go through this or whatever. So she gave up her blood to cure people, left her physically deformed and in pain and scarred up, damaged, yada yada yada. And then one day or something, I struggled to remember how this all worked out, but, like, basically the mom, like, at some point after milking her for so long, the mom just sold the kid off for whatever reason. It was like, I can get short-term money really quickly if I just sell the kid to the highest bidder or something. There was I think a scene where it was like, oh, the kid got thrown into a carriage, taken away, whisked away, and could see the mom with a pocket full of coins or something, a purse of coins, I don't know, something like that. And then it was sent to some lord guy, some lord man. And then, yeah, the mom, oh yeah, there was a disagreement. Okay, so yeah, I was gonna get to this eventually, because there was the later part about this where she talked about it, but that makes sense. Okay, so the mom was like, we gotta get as much money as we can, and the kid, who at this point is fucked up and thinks she actually is this saintly, powerful being, is like, if I have these powers, I should be doing this for free, kind of thing. And obviously that doesn't jive with what the mom was wanting or needing at this point, so not great. So she sold off the kid. And who'd she sell it off to? Some lord man. Just, again, counted up throughout this whole story how many old dudes that suck have existed in this game's story. Too many to count, but I don't blame it. So we got another shitty old guy. He's a lord, and he's like, oh, I'm basically he just used her for, like, party tricks. From what I understood, it was like, oh, we're having a grand old time in my chambers, all of us rich, important people, and look at this kid that I have that has, like, the ability to cure people with her blood. Oh man, this is great. And then at this point, she also then says to the Lord or something like, hey, this is like I'm a holy person. I should not be doing this for your amusement and your sickness, your fun and games. Like, I should be, it's a misuse of my abilities kind of thing. And he obviously didn't like that. So I think he was going to, like, kill her. I think the story was like, by his hand, I was about to die or something. And then right as that was about to happen, like, a riot struck out, and she was taken in or escaped with some slaves to, like, a brothel place. And for a while, she was concerned at first, but then she's like, oh, this is where, like, the most I felt comfortable in a long time is amongst these lower class people or whatever. And then I kind of forget how the ending kind of, where we got to, kind of struck out, but, like, at some point, the bandits, like, attacked the brothel, and then people got shoved into another carriage or something, and then people were tied up, and then I forget who did what. I can't remember if it was the original slave guy that she was getting comfortable with, or if it was some other person, but he just, at some point, assassinated everyone in there, and then she didn't, like, try to run away or something, and he just looked at her, and he was like, why didn't you run away? And she was like, I don't fucking know. And then he's like, well, I guess I'm not going to kill you if you're not going to run away. And he just left, and then she was there. And then that was her backstory so far in 2 parts. It seemed like we were going to get at least another part. And that's basically where we ended. It was another guy? Okay. I was about to say, it didn't make much sense in my head if the person who did the assassination and then left her was the same guy that originally took her in to the brothel. But like I said, that's why this is, and so in my head I was like, oh, maybe I'm just getting confused and mixing. I didn't know if I was supposed to mix those 2 guys together or not, and they were the same. Okay, good to know that this probably not, or not probably, it is not the same people. This just leads credence. When I try to do these recaps, I'm just going off of memory. Maybe it would be better if I go but like I genuinely want to test to try to see how much like sticks when I do these and the important bits. But yeah, okay. So, and then I think that's basically where we ended. Like we said, we went back to the watchtower background, as you can see here by the thumbnail. And I assumed that it seemed like we were setting up for another section, at least a third. Morgana, because we're thinking about Morgana's story. She's just left in this like carriage thing or whatever. Like there's got to be some. She's obviously has been betrayed by a lot of people in her life, both personal and then where she gets to. You would imagine there's still got to be some kind of steps, at least some step, if not multiple steps, to where we're at now, where she becomes allegedly some witch thing that brings misfortune to others. No, I'm good. I just remember a lot due to the blood. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, during my recaps, if I miss like an important thing, if I miss an important thing or I state something incorrectly, I definitely don't mind getting a little addition or anything. It's good. It's good for everyone. Recaps are important. Oh yeah, we saved it like right at the end of that thing because it then goes there. Blink, blink, blink. Alright, so let's read more. Fata Morgana, wrapped in absolute darkness. Oh my god, more blood right from the start, man. Warm blood spills onto my cheeks, my hair, my skin. Chunks of human flesh rain down on me. Oh yeah, okay, so now we're seeing this. So, I'm pretty sure now this all could be imagining and like in his head, right? In fact, it's a good chance that it is, especially as much as we know of Morgana and how it seems to be an internalized voice and person kind of thing. But I think at the end of the first part, where there was also more talk of blood, he felt and was like thinking that he was covered in blood or something. So now he might be now feeling or internalizing where we left the last bit of story that I was talking about. Very unfortunate. Chunks of human flesh, which is a really gross sentence, rain down on me. Ugh, make it stop. Pitter, patter, pitter, patter. There's no end to the deluge. The smell of death fills the air. I'm struck with a wave of nausea so strong I can't hold back the contents of my stomach. But when my mouth opens to vomit, blood pours into it. This is disgusting, man. Let go of me. Dead bodies grab at my ankles, dragging me down. To where? Hell, or to the mountain of corpses? Now, do you understand that there was a time, if but briefly, when I was happy, when I felt human emotions? But I wish I never had. If I had remained confined in my daughter of God shell, then I doubt I would have felt so much terror at the sight of death. She's growling. I can't say anything in response. I can't form words. I feel what she experienced, the massacre she witnessed, the limp flesh piling up around her. Even more than twice her age, it's enough to drive me mad. The fact that a 12-year-old girl had to experience something so unspeakable devastates me. Tell me, my dear, do you pity me? Do you sympathize with me? If you feel bad for me, then you'll remain with me. You'll feel my pain and my despair with me, won't you? The witch's cackle echoes through the pile of bodies. On the tier list of witch cackles / laughs, unfortunately, Morgana is in second place compared to Beatrice from Movie Neko. She still has first place. It's a weak cackle, I must say. I'm sorry. There's not a speck of light, and hideous death lingers everywhere. Helpless to resist, I'm dragged down into a deep, dark ocean. An ocean of blood. Alright, we're going back. Get comfortable. We're back into the shit. Now on with the story. Oh, there's the chanting. I forgot the chanting. How terrible it sounds. How distressing it is to my ears. So unnerving. I was at a complete loss for some time after that. I didn't want to return to the city because I knew there was no one left who would take me in. There was only the Lord who had bound me and drained me of my blood. So I wandered the roads, no destination in mind and nothing to defend myself but the clothes on my back. Frankly, I'm rather surprised I wasn't attacked by bandits. After walking for days without food or water, my mind was hazy and my exhaustion at a peak. In the distance, I saw a lake. So driven by my thirst, I turned my unsteady feet toward the water, not caring that it took me off the main road. And it turned out that was the correct choice, because there was a small cottage beside the lake. Smoke rising from the chimney, telling me it wasn't abandoned. Out of sheer desperation, I knocked on the door. No one answered. The door wasn't locked, so I slowly, hesitantly pushed it open. And beyond it, I found an old woman sitting dead in a chair. The woman was a witch. By trade, that is. It appeared she had a deep knowledge of medicinal herbs, using it to make an assortment of medicines. In her cabinets were dozens of small glass bottles containing dried, powdered leaves and crushed berries, among other things. On the fire was a cauldron, liquid bubbling inside. The woman looked as though she was asleep. Presumably, she had passed away of old age, for there was no sign bandits had been rooting through the cottage. She had a look of absolute serenity on her face. Looking over at the woman's dead body, I didn't cross myself. I envied her. Dragging the woman's body by her feet, I dumped her into the lake. Do you think doing so makes me a bad person? Makes me unsaintly? Well, I didn't have anywhere else to go, and the owner of the cozy cottage was no longer of this world. There was no reason I couldn't fill the home in her stead, was there? I deserved to have somewhere I felt comfortable, after everything I'd been through, didn't I? And so, I took up residence in the old witch's cottage, and remained there until my 16th year. By 16, a terrible cynicism had taken root in my heart. I had no trust for people. I shut them out, building high walls around myself. After such a tumultuous, bloody childhood, it was all I could do to protect myself, to keep my young spirit from cracking. Nevertheless, travelers would, on occasion, pay the old witch's cottage a visit seeking her medicines. Whenever someone arrived, I would cautiously crack the door open, telling them that they could trade for whatever they wanted with food, and never showing my face. One day, a young man showed up at the cottage. "My sister has fallen very ill, and she desperately needs medicine." He was very soft-spoken. There was a distant kindness in his voice, which I thought unusual. Curious. What kind of person could he be? What did he look like? What expressions did he make as he spoke? To satisfy that curiosity, I snuck a peek at him through the crack in the door. He was a handsome young man with flowing flaxen hair, and upon seeing me, he didn't flinch back in disgust. He smiled. According to him, his younger sister had fallen gravely ill, and though they had tried a number of remedies, she was still bedridden. The medicines I gave him, too, had no effect, but he persisted in his quest, visiting me again and again for new combinations to try. He wanted nothing more than to relieve even the slightest bit of his sister's suffering. And, moved by his dedication to his family, I too wanted to do anything I could to help. For the first time in years, my world encompassed more than my small cottage. When the young man came, he would ask not only for medicine, but to go on walks with me. He volunteered to spend time with me despite my horrifying appearance. It's not healthy to stay holed up inside all the time. You've got this beautiful lake right here. What do you say we take a little walk around the shoreline? He said with a smile, taking me by the hand. We spoke as we circled the lakeside. His voice was always soft and pleasant, like a ray of light shining through a crack in the walls. When I was with him, I felt like I could be an actual person, an ordinary girl. He talked about his sister more than anything, and whenever he did, he was at his brightest and most melancholy. The young man had been a member of a noble house, but disputes over who was the rightful heir had forced him and his sister out. Shortly after that, his sister had fallen ill and was now bedridden. I'll take anything at this point to make her better. I'll even take a miracle if I can get one. That word, muttered beneath his breath, sparked my memory. I was a saint. My blood had healing properties. I had no reason to hesitate. Someone needed my help, and who deserved it more than this kind-hearted young man's sister? And who deserved it more than this? I read that bad. Who deserved it more than this kind-hearted young man's sister? Question mark? So I decided to tell him what I really was. That my blood had miraculous powers. That had saved people. That the moment I had been born, the drought plaguing my village had come to an end. That I had been known as a saint, the daughter of God. I told him everything, and he believed it all. He led me to his house, where a pale, sickly young girl lay in bed. She was a sweet little girl with the same flaxen hair as her brother, who looked like she would have been quite spirited if not for her ailment. It was touching to see the two siblings sitting there together, quietly holding each other. I would gladly give my blood for the two of them. And so I made a new cut in my arm, which had healed considerably thanks to the slave and the woman of the brothel, and let the girl drink of my blood. Gross. Neither of them had any doubts about my sainthood, and because they believed a miracle had occurred, the flaxen-haired girl recovered enough to get out of her bed. I was extremely proud of myself. I felt like for once I had actually saved someone's life. The only issue was, she didn't make a complete recovery. For a few days after drinking my blood, she was in good health, but her condition quickly regressed. I was deeply perplexed by this. A miracle had undoubtedly taken place, but it was only temporary. Now, though, I believe I can explain what happened. Her recovery was nothing more than a placebo effect caused by her faith. But that's something I couldn't have known at the time. That's exactly what I was saying earlier, isn't it? We were all three perplexed, and we were all three disheartened. Nevertheless, I was prepared to give her my blood as many times as needed. Whenever her condition worsened, the young man came to request more, and never once did I turn him away. On the contrary, I enthusiastically offered her my services. Over time, though, the hope in his eyes began to fade. He asked me on fewer walks, and he seemed hesitant to look me in the eye. I assume it was out of discomfort, out of guilt, out of shame about asking for blood, but I don't think his concerns were for me, rather himself and his sister. As I mentioned earlier, blood was considered unclean in our time. Not only was I giving mine away, I was having his sister imbibe it. Looking at it that way, it would hardly be a surprise for him, or anyone else, to think what I was doing depraved. As time passed, the flaxen-haired young man seemed to grow more and more disturbed by me. That was what I got for opening up. That was what I got for letting his kind, warm light shine in on me. The moment things went bad, he pulled away. There were times when I thought I shouldn't have done anything in the first place, but regardless, I held fast to my original decision. I'd put myself on the line for them. No one else, just them. Even if he was afraid of me or had no interest in seeing me, I'd continue offering her my blood, and I was firm in my resolve. One day, though, I received a new visitor. The young man was still the only one I would show my face to, the only guest I had let into my walls. So as usual, took the man's request from behind the cottage door. But I could hardly believe my ears when he began speaking. Are you the witch with the miracle blood? First, how did he know my blood had powers? Second, why had he called me a witch, not a saint? Third, why did he sound like the man who had slaughtered the slave carriage? I told the man he had to leave, that I would not be opening the door for any reason. In response, he said, I am in need of your blood. Could you not spare a little? My blood was for the sick and needy. I would never spare a drop for a murderer like him. And I told the man exactly that, demanding he leave. All I could think about was the pile of bodies, the fountains of blood, the man drenched in crimson wearing a ghastly smirk. I trembled behind the door, fearing he may go on another such rampage. But instead he gave a simple, as you say, and went on his way. I let out a deep sigh of relief, which is when I realized tears were rolling down both my cheeks, like an ordinary girl. 3 days later, the flaxen-haired boy showed up at my cottage. sorry for being so distant lately. I want to talk things over." Those two sentences were like a light shining from above. I wanted to talk to him too. I wanted to take a walk around the lake and listen to him talk about nothing. I wanted to experience the warmth of his world once more. And I wanted to tell him about the terrible man who had been there a few days earlier, about how scared I had been. I wanted him to tell me if it would be alright. "I want to talk to you too," I said, opening the door without a second thought. The light of the sun was so bright, all I could make out was his silhouette. I couldn't see the look on his face or the look in his eyes. A gentle breeze blew past, and my mind froze. How could this be happening? What did it mean? Why? How? What was that man doing, standing behind him? Why was he carrying a sword? Why was he coming into my house? And why did he swing it down, severing my arm? I was in a daze. I couldn't make sense of anything. I didn't want to. My left arm fell to the floor before I even knew what was happening, and then my legs gave out. The pain, searing and unbearable, came a few moments later as I was lying in an ever-expanding pool of my own blood. I did something then that I hadn't done before, that I had resisted doing no matter how much blood the Lord had stolen from me. I screamed. It was a hideous, visceral noise, a sound I had never thought a saint could make. The same ear-splitting howl the slaves had made as the man had butchered them. I writhed, I wailed, I wept, I crawled across the floor through my own blood. I begged and I begged and I begged for my life. The man walked over and picked up my severed arm, and then, shockingly, he tossed it to the kind-hearted young man, after which he said, "That's your share. Should last you long enough." Share? What did he mean by share? What was he talking about? Why had he given him my arm, and why had he taken it? Why was he talking like they knew each other? Why? Why? I'd spared blood for him when he asked, hadn't I? So why was he doing this? Was cutting my arm off and stealing it easier on his conscience than simply asking? You understand how I felt, don't you? You can put yourself in my shoes, can't you? The young man refused to look me in the eye. Holding my bloody arm in his trembling hands, he fled from the cottage as quickly as his legs would allow. The man then walked over and picked me up. I had neither the strength nor willpower to resist. Holding me in his arms, he began to speak, telling me things I didn't want to know, things I didn't want to hear, but he didn't care. "Nothing personal, I just need your blood. Without it, she'll lose her church." Don't take it personally? Tell me, is there anyone in this world who wouldn't feel a bit of spite after being put through such torture? How was I supposed to let that slide? No one's that much of a saint. My trust had been betrayed and I was supposed to turn the other cheek? A man had barged into my home uninvited and cut off my arm, and I was supposed to smile and take it? Is there anyone anywhere who doesn't feel even the slightest bit of hatred ever? Is there anyone in this world who could just laugh and brush off this level of abuse? Tell me, is there? How could I not hold a grudge? How could I not despise them? How could I possibly forgive them? Tell me, please. Tell me, how could I? She needs the money. I needed some way of getting enough money to keep our church running. So the Lord made me an offer. If I brought him the witch with the miracle blood, he would finance a whole new church for her. The Lord? Why him again? Why couldn't he leave me alone? After trying to kill me during one of his blood Sabbaths, why was he after my blood once more? Had he learned it really did have miraculous powers and decided he wanted me back? You get to be the sacrifice to keep her church from collapsing, to keep her world from collapsing. Sacrifice? Excuse me, what? And what's all this about keeping our church from collapsing? You murdered a carriage full of innocent people, and you're trying to protect a church? You? Are you out of your mind? Churches are where people go to commune with God, to speak with my Father. How dare you soil those sanctified grounds with your filthy hands, you beast? It's insulting, sacrilegious, repulsive. Just what do you think we are? So don't take it personally, witch. I'm not a witch. I'm a saint. I was a saint. My blood exists to do the Lord's work, not to satisfy the avarice of men. Why is this happening to me? The man brought me back to the city, but instead of taking me to the Lord's manor, he brought me to a church on the city's outskirts, though, to be honest, it looked more like an estate than a church. The church also served as a hospital, offering free care to less fortunate children, the poor, and the infirm. That was when I learned why he had said they needed money. The owner of the church offered unconditional assistance to anyone who came. Even when food and supplies ran low, they would ration their own in order to keep helping others. As a result, the church was perpetually on the verge of collapse. The church was run by a woman, something exceedingly rare for the time. There were no priests. All management was handled by a single nun, who everyone referred to as the saintess. I was the saint. Why was this woman, who didn't have the ability to perform miracles, being worshipped like she did? Why did the people of the city idolize her? Why were their smiles all directed at her? Why was I not in her place? It's tough, man. The man carried me to the top of the observation tower. It was there that I had my reunion with the Lord. I was to spill my blood for the people of the city, but also for the Lord's profit. He was not offering free aid, but selling it as medicine. He claimed it was a miracle elixir, telling no one that it was actually my blood. It was mixed with beautiful red wine, and drinking it would cure you of any ailment. If they knew it was actually the blood of a witch, they would think it unclean. They would fear it. I remained in prison for a long time. In the beginning, the swordsman guarded me, though before long, the flaxen-haired young man showed up as well. Presumably, one severed arm wasn't enough to keep his sister healthy for long. In listening to their conversations, I learned that, to ensure no one else would get in, the observation tower was sealed with 3 locks. The Lord, the swordsman, and the young man each held one of the keys. I was their secret, locked away in the tower for them to drain of blood away from wandering eyes. Time went on, and I grew progressively weaker. I lost the will to eat, and the will to live. My only view from the tower was the clouds through a window high up on the wall. Occasionally, a pigeon would fly in, sometimes a butterfly, and I would glare in envy as it fluttered around, free to come and go as it pleased. As soon, it was spring, and soon. Every spring, the church held a festival to pray for the coming year's harvest and the people's well-being. You could hear the bustle from far below, through the window as everyone rushed to prepare. I heard the flaxen-haired girl's voice who had regained her health drinking my blood. I heard her brother's voice who had betrayed me. I heard the nun's voice who played saint in my stead. I heard the barbaric swordsman's voice who had chopped off my arm. And I heard the Lord's voice, the root of all my suffering. I heard people praising the saintess, though I, the true saint, was locked in the tower. I heard people thanking the Lord for his generous donations of miracle medicine, though it had all come from me. Propped up on my suffering, they cheered and clinked glasses of my bloody wine. Those merry, peaceful, cheerful, spirited sinners' voices resounded in my tower, and at noon on the day of the festival, the church bell tolled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and with the 12th chime, I died. As the bell's last pealing faded into silence, the tower door swung open. Standing on the other side of it were the 3 men. They must have wanted to drain a little more from me to use in the feast, but they arrived at the worst possible moment. The flaxen-haired young man was the first to express his consternation. Why? I never wanted her to die. Was she not eating? The Lord gave my corpse a casual glance and said stone-faced, "Seal the tower off." Understood? No one finds out about this. How can you be so calm? Do you understand what you've done? Ha! Pinning the blame on me. How nice it must be to be able to distort reality with panic. The swordsman, who had been silently observing the Lord and the boy conversing, interjected. You're just as guilty as any of us. Not only did they not mourn my death, they argued over whose fault it was. There was no regret, no remorse. The young man muttered absent-mindedly, I never wanted her to die. What did his intentions matter, though? It was his betrayal that had ultimately tethered me to this mansion. But the fact that they didn't grieve my death and instead squabbled amongst themselves like filthy rats, was the final straw. How could I not despise them? I don't believe I actually had the power to perform miracles when I was alive. It was all faith, the illusion of belief. I was neither a saint nor a witch. The blood wine was only effective because people placed their faith in the other saintess. I was only ever human. But then, in that moment, an actual miracle occurred. My father bestowed upon me his power, or perhaps it was the devil who lent me his strength. I was looking down upon my own dead body, my own wretched self. There was nothing beautiful about the pile of bones I'd become. I could almost smell the rotting flesh. That was once a saint? I laughed at the thought. It was absurd, ridiculous, and infuriating. They would pay. Those who had cast me into this hell, who had mocked me, who had done this to me, who had made a witch out of me. Hatred coursed through me, revulsion at everyone on these grounds still smiling. They would know just whose dead shoulders their little party was resting upon, if they wanted so badly to call me a witch. Excuse me. Then a witch I would be. Sorry about that. I would kill them, every last one of them, place a curse on their souls. And so I made my wish. Most people might consider it a curse, but to me it was most certainly a wish. And my father, or maybe the devil, granted that wish. From the garden, there rose a scream. The flaxen-haired young man knew that voice better than anyone. He went deathly pale, darting down the spiral staircase until he reached a window. A young girl was on her knees, vomiting blood in the grass. The young man let out a yelp as he descended the remainder of the staircase. As soon as he reached the garden, he lifted the girl in his arms, but she had already perished. Realizing this, he cried to the heavens, saying the one thing he should have kept to himself. The witch killed her. The blood of the witch killed my sister. That wine you're drinking is no medicine. It's the blood of the witch. You're all drinking witch blood. Alright, well, you were happy about it working for some time. Don't put that on me. Crushed by the loss of his only family, the young man picked up a silver fork and plunged it into his own throat. Oof, ending his life. Jesus. Naturally, there was an uproar. Goblets of wine crashed against the earth in rapid succession, as the people holding them fell to the ground and vomited or convulsed. The nun was the first target of their outrage. What she had claimed to be medicine had turned out to be blood, an unclean substance. The blood of a witch, no less. A servant of the church, a servant of the Lord, had given her followers blood to drink. And at this, their indignation surged uncontrollably. The people surrounded her, tying her up and throwing her to the ground. As they prepared to inflict righteous justice upon her, the swordsman soared down the stairs and into the garden, plunging his blade into anyone standing near the nun. Cries of agony ringing through the church grounds were ear-splitting. It was no longer a place of God, but hell on earth. Hell built up by the hands of man. Hell painted red with the blood of their brothers. People armed themselves with anything they could find and went after the man. As much of a beast as he may have been, he stood little chance against such numbers. It is the fate of a beast to be exterminated by those he terrorizes, and once he was gone, the nun had no one left to protect her. She too was consumed by their frenzy. All that remained was an inextinguishable inferno, hysteria and despair, madness and outrage, and no outlet for it. It was a revolt that made the slaves' uprising at the Lord's manor look like a game. Eventually, their rage found a new target, the Lord. It was only natural, for he was the true villain, I should stress. He was the one who had given money and the witch's blood to the church. He was the one who had profited off it. And above all, people often resented those who stood above them, particularly in times of unrest. The city resounded with cries for the Lord's head, and he looked down upon it all from the safety of the observation tower. He could do nothing but watch as his domain burned. I can only imagine how painful that must have been. But before long, having seemingly made his peace, he began descending the spiral staircase. He opened the door at the bottom, revealing himself to his people. But before the door had swung all the way open, before he had had a chance to say his final words, someone ran a blade through his chest. With that, the raging furor mostly settled down, but it was hardly the end of the destruction. Mere days later, a plague befell the city. Dreadful black spots covered the flesh of the infected. They writhed in pain, screaming and vomiting blood. Ghastly howls echoed through the streets, as if the whole city had been possessed. It became a cursed land. In their diseased haze, the people muttered again and again, "We have been cursed by the witch." In less than a week, the entire city was dead. My body was left abandoned at the top of the observation tower. And as if to seal the curse away, in their final days, the people shuttered all the windows, wrapping the house in darkness. It's possible that was no miracle either. You can easily explain what happened to them. Locked away for so long in that dirty tower, maybe I caught some kind of disease. And then, when the people drank my blood, they too were infected. Hardly anything out of the ordinary about that. First to die, the girl had already been ill. Her body merely chose the worst possible time to yield to her ailment. That was all that had happened. Indeed, it was nothing more than a fluke, an improbable stroke of luck, an unbelievably unfortunate accident for the city and those three men, and an indescribably fortunate accident for myself. But I wish to believe it was a miracle. And even if my blood didn't have healing properties, and even if I wasn't a saint, my wish, my curse, was what caused that uprising. That was my miracle, granted to me by God or the devil. I chose to believe that, and that my miracle took on its true form thereafter. My curse had brought death upon the three men, but for whatever reason, my rancor was far from sated. They had died, so what? Death is but a transient agony. It's nothing compared to what I went through. So I made my next wish. I wished for their reconstruction. I wished eternal suffering on their souls. I wished to trap them in a never-ending cycle of pain and hatred. This was my wish for the flaxen-haired young man. He treasured his dear sister, and he desired a quiet life, so I wished for him to have just that. And I wished for his dearly beloved sister to love him more than anything in the world. Man, for his world to be destroyed by love gone too far. Despite the lack of dialogue, I find the format of her story really engaging. She is written as a good narrator. She's it's written really well as far as like, yeah, engaging is probably a really good, engaging is a really good word or term for it. I think without there being a lot of dialogue, it really does allow this person who clearly, based on their story, has been wronged and is seething mad throughout the whole thing and pissed about her situation, like being able, when it's in that first person and there's not a lot of dialogue, then you get to really get that, like, that feeling of disgust really, like, shines through a lot, in my opinion. I think it just works well. I agree. This was my wish for the beast-like man. He was conscious of his tendency for violence, and he yearned to be more human. So I had his inner beast toned up just a little. I saw to it that he would never be human. So he would never have the peace he so desired. My wish for the Lord was more straightforward. He seemed to have great affection for wealth and authority, so it ensured those were the only things he could ever have. Who needs love or friendship when you could be drowning in power? Once he had lost everything, his solitude would be his only companion. Wishes can come true, as long as you always hold fast, never stop wishing, never surrender. They can come true. Eternal suffering on all their souls, an endless cycle of reconstruction and an unavoidable tragedy. Tell me, my dear, do you sympathize with me? Will you curse them with me? Will you take my hand and revile them with me? Blink, blink, blink. This time, when my body crashes into the tower stairs, I'm unable to make a noise. The obstruction is less mental and more physical. The excruciating pain. So intense I can't even eke out a scream. My vision is distorted, my mind thick with fog. I feel like I'll fall into a bottomless pit if I loosen my grip on my consciousness even slightly. Through the haze, I see my own severed left arm. Reflected in a pool of blood, I see my face, large chunks of flesh peeled off. Look at you, trying to crawl up those stairs like a worm. How pathetic. It's like I'm looking at my old self. I can barely form a coherent thought. I can't lament her inhuman fate. I can't mourn for her, or be shocked by the revelation about the 3 men and her history with them. Pain fills every corner of my mind, every nook and cranny of my body. You figured it out by now, haven't you, my dear? You'll never make it to me. It's not possible. But it's not your fault. It's not because you're weak. There's simply no one who can bear this pain. You're allowed to give up, to rest. There's nothing wrong with that. The pain, the crushing weight, it's miserable, isn't it? But all you have to do is turn back, and it'll all go away. The witch whispers her sweet temptations. You've put in a fine effort. There's no shame at all in throwing in the towel. Her voice is soft, gentle, pleasant, saccharine. Concede defeat. If I do, it'll all go away. The searing pain spreading from the stump of my left arm. The sensation of being perpetually drained of my blood. The miserable solitude of staring at a door that never opens. The laughter I can hear through the window. My miserable wailing in this maddening hatred. I can end it all. That's right, it'll all be over. You have the power to make it stop. Make it all stop. No, I can't let that happen. No, I have to. Get her back at my side. I'll do anything to take her back, even if it means I end up 1,000 tiny scraps of meat. Ew. Ew. I will not give up on her for any reason. You won't, will you? Oh, such beautiful resolve. Willing to sacrifice yourself to save the girl. Like a hero of legend, or maybe a fairy tale prince? No. I'm no hero and I'm no prince. I'm a human, an ordinary man. I don't have any extraordinary potential. I'm not a courageous leader or a charismatic general. I'm just a regular man, in love with a regular woman, who refuses to lose her. I don't need any other accomplishments, only that. That's all I need, because I'm just a regular man. My one act of resistance. It doesn't matter what you say. Doesn't matter how much you cut me up. Nothing changes. What I have to do. I have to take her back and set her free of this mansion. Nothing else. And never will I back down on that. Go, Michelle. Arms or no, as long as I can move, I must push forward. I must make my way to the woman who waited for me for so long. Up to the top of the tower. Forward, ever onward. Push through. Dragging my bloody body, paying the pain no mind. I once more arrive at the top of the observation tower. I place my hand on the door, holding myself up with my lacerated right arm. Take a moment to catch my breath, then lift my head. Man, you were mentioning, we're really gory in the last, 2 streams. It is nothing but blood talk. It's so bad. Gaze into the void and shout her name. Morgana! I pity you. I truly do. You were a saint shackled with an unfathomable fate, and for that, I am enraged. As I felt your pain, as I watched your life, I too felt a burning hatred for those 3 men. If you truly feel that way, then why can't you stay here with me? We're all dead anyway. We've reached our ends. Do you honestly think there's anything more for us? There isn't. The end is the end. So what do you say, the 3 of us, me, you, and Giselle, torture the three of them and everyone they cared about. Oh, we're going back to my whole everything's a love triangle theory. Make them suffer here for all eternity in this house. And that way you and Giselle can be together forever too. That's not an option. Why not? Because hatred. Because I don't believe in thruples. I don't believe in polyamory. Only brings you pain. Huh. Oh, that's brilliant. You spouting stupid platitudes at me. I can't believe my ears. Save your nonsense moralizing about how hatred does you no good. I won't hear it. I'm doing just fine for myself, my dear. In fact, I've never been better. I feel wonderful. Did you think that would be enough to persuade me? Really? How disappointing. And here I thought you understood me. Morgana, why don't you say what you really think? Go right on ahead. Hate them as much as you want. But keep me and Giselle out of it. Why didn't you just say that? I do feel bad, truthfully. For all the time we spent together, never once did I ask about your life. I was so focused on myself. And in the end, I pushed you away. That you did. You wanted to be with Giselle, so you pushed me out. I wish I'd asked you sooner. It wouldn't have changed anything, though. One puny man knowing what I went through would hardly be enough to erase the loathing I bear. It would have turned out the same regardless. There was nothing you could have done for me. There is nothing. Still, I would like to apologize. Had I known what you carried in your heart, perhaps I could have chosen my words better. Instead of rejecting you, could have chosen some other response. I cannot remain in this house, nor can I allow her to stay either. So I would like to apologize for both my past actions and my present. Well, in that case, open the door, Mikkel. I take another moment to catch my breath, and then I gather my strength into the hand on the door. Blood seeps from my fingertips, slowly trickling down the rough surface. It reminds me of my death. I'm coming for you. I push open the door, praying that it will be the last. That beyond it lies light for Giselle, and if possible, that it might cast a bit of light on Morgana's heart as well. What? However, why am I in my bedroom? What I find behind the door is the last thing I expect. Huh? As she appears from the shadows of my chambers, I can't conceal my surprise. Giselle, is this another illusion, Morgana? No, it's not. I am the real me. Thank you for coming all the way here for me. She's thanking me, so why isn't she smiling? That was very kind and courageous of you, Mikkel. I'm deeply moved you would have such compassion not only for her, but for someone like me. But do you know what else you are? You're a worm. What is it this time, Morgana? What do you say we pull back the curtain, my dear? What curtain? There's one detail that hasn't yet come to light. Am I gonna get mind fucked here? Is this gonna be a big thing? Mentally prepare myself. Deep breath. This isn't your first return to the mansion, is it? You've been back numerous times. Each time not remembering her. Each time hurting her even more. What are you talking about? What am I talking about? Oh, you know good and well, my dear. Or do you honestly believe that all the other pieces were in their rightful places and you alone were some exception? I never... Tell me, how was it? Living in so many different eras, not knowing who you were. And playing with all the different men. No, you're out of your mind. You make it sound like I was... Not like, my dear. You are the white-haired girl. Enough! How could anyone possibly confuse me with her? To tell you the truth, I couldn't see you as anyone else. Your white hair, red eyes, porcelain skin, and your name. Tell me, what about you isn't the same? We're not the same person. I saw a letter. What? The one you had hidden. No. And you didn't think that was worth mentioning? No, Giselle. I didn't mean... You're exactly right, my dear Giselle. He deceived you. He kept a very important secret from you. Despite showing up before you multiple times, he cast you aside again and again. No. No! That wasn't me, it wasn't... It all makes sense now. Nothing you ever did was for me. Giselle, I... Go on, Giselle. Tell him exactly how you feel. Mikkel? Don't. Please, don't. Don't say it. Not that, please. I'm begging you. You're... Stop. Please don't, Giselle. Not actually... Please. Don't say it. A man at all, are you? You're disgusting. Wait. I'm thinking. I'm starting to think if she's mentioning a letter, and the few things we know about Mikkel is that he was thrown out of his family, that would probably now are under some assumption that we're gonna get some explanation, but maybe this is I don't want to say it. Maybe it's a leap. Maybe it's a bad leap. Maybe it's such an incorrect leap. But we were told, or at least Mikkel was leading us to believe, both Giselle and us as the reader, hey, my family threw me out because of my white hair and my porcelain-like skin and red eyes, and my family thought I was like a demon or something. And both me, half jokingly, and Giselle were like, what do you mean? Like, it's striking beauty. Like, how could anyone be like, this is demonic. Demonic-like. But now, especially with this last couple of sentences, I'm getting the sense that that was a lie. I think... maybe if I just keep reading, the answer will be revealed very shortly, and we'll get 100% confirmation here. But my mind is just now going, if she's talking about, I saw a letter, and like a big thing was talking about like getting thrown out, and it being scandalous, and it not, even at the time, not jiving with me about like, oh, like, it just, I mean, I guess I still, again, that's why I say half jokingly, because half jokingly I was like, oh, that's, you know, I mean, weirder things have happened. You have some weird family that's like, oh, this is scandalous if we have a kid that's like, for all intents and purposes, almost like seemingly like albino, like bad skin, sensitive to light, like maybe that's a bad thing. Like, it's not too far of a stretch, maybe, but there always felt like there wasn't the full story being told there. And now, it seems like we might be getting the truth. Because at the very least, Mikkel is like, don't say it. Don't say the thing that I've been definitely trying to conceal. The Witch Morgana says, you're the only one it could have been, my dear. The only one who could have been the white-haired girl. The next moment, my whole world comes tumbling down. I could have borne anything. Losing my arm, having my face torn off. Any amount of pain, I could have handled it. For you, I could have done it. But this, hearing those words coming from your mouth, being rejected by you. That I cannot. Those words, they bury me alive, and you're the one person I never wanted to hear from them from. When I learned my father Antonin had passed, I wrote 2 letters, one to my brother and one to my mother. It was the first time I'd found the courage to face my mother, to open up to her. I wanted to show her who I was, convince her that I wasn't cursed, so I could be myself when I returned to the capital with Giselle. Dear mother, there's something I wish to tell you, something that means a great deal to me. So I ask of you, please hear me out. And I ask of you, please accept it. Mother, I no longer bear any resentment for my present lot in life. Nevertheless, I would ask of you to concede one thing, that I was never cursed, that I was always your son, that I am Mikkel, not Michelle. See, and then this name thing, it's like, it all starts circling back on itself. Ugh. 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 I have found someone whom I care for dearly, a woman, and I love her with all my heart. I would like to spend the rest of my life with her. I do not wish for much, simply to have a quiet life with her, to go through our days together, man and woman. That is the one thing I want. Mother, I know you're aware that my body is no longer female. I am a man. My heart is male, and I ask of you to please accept that. I have no grudge with you. In fact, I am incredibly grateful to you for bringing me into this world. With love, your dearest son. Shortly after sending that letter, I was killed. I'm dragged down, against my will, into the darkness. Beneath me spreads my own past. My door, the door I swore never to open. But despite all my efforts to resist, the door sucks me in. Into a world I never wanted to see again. A history I never wanted revealed. A past I never wanted anyone to see. Nonetheless, the door opens. There were 2 things out of the ordinary about that baby. The first, its parents embraced, and the second, they wholly rejected. Although, it was some time before the baby's second peculiarity emerged, and until it finally did, no one was any the wiser, not even the child itself. Its mother surely enjoyed that brief period of happiness, before her child finally realized the truth. Blind to the fact that the moment it had let out its first cry, everything came crashing down. To this day, she still doesn't know the child she gave birth to, that she set loose a curse upon the world, a curse that turned angels into demons, humans into witches. My God, look at that. Heh, she's beautiful, isn't she? Have you seen her laugh? Not yet, I haven't. At any rate, that color certainly is something else. God's gift to us. No, she's an angel sent from heaven. Oh, we actually see that they're like, oh, the appearance is great. An angel. Ah, yes, I can see it now, lady. Her white hair and almost translucent skin. It's beautiful. My, she opened her eyes. Maybe she felt you nearby. Do you like your father more than me? Is that it, sweetheart? Gorgeous, aren't they? Such a deep, enchanting color. Like 2 little jewels. Ah, that they are. A magnificent shade of red. I've never seen anything like it. And this is our child. She's special. I can feel it. We have to take good care of her. She needs a name. One that's just as special as her. Have you already chosen this was her. Hers. She needs a name. One that's special as her. Have you already chosen Antonin? You were the one begging for a girl. You do it. Besides, I already have to rack my brain for the boys' names. Now it's your turn. Are you really going to let me? My, it's quite a lot of pressure. Name her after an angel, then. Oh, I like that. All right, then. We'll call her Michelle, after the archangel, Mikhail. Sure. You'll grow up to be beautiful as an angel, my Michelle. I've always wanted a little girl. Pain. With her snowy white hair, skin so pale you could see the veins beneath it, and her ruby red eyes. She was a very peculiar looking little girl, and her mother showered her with love. She truly believed her daughter was an angel sent from above, born as a human child. The blessed babe, born a girl, was given an angel's name. M-I-C-H-E-L-L-E. Me. Checkmate. Oh, yeah, sliding in picture there. Woo, phew. That's unlike anything we've seen in this game before. Like a profile picture just whoop, sliding in from the side. Did you? I see. That's what you did. Curses! I completely overlooked that. I thought you were advancing with your pawns, but that was all a diversion. You're too short-sighted. I don't know how to say his name. Oh, we talked about it. It's like a probably French-ish name. So Didier, whatever. You need to look at the big picture. Sometimes it's the tactician and not the soldier holding the sword. I like the changing formats to help separate the eras. That's a good point, actually. I kind of like it. I like it. I like the portraits. Kind of cool. It just caught me off guard. Haha, you got me. You're quite good at this, Michelle. What inspired you to take such an aggressive strategy? It was not inspiration. It was derivation. Derivation? Chess is in many ways similar to real war tactics. Ah, my military texts. You haven't read all of them, have you? I have nothing but time. Impressive. Even I haven't read all the books in my room. You planning to join the order with that kind of knowledge? You jest. You're the one who's going to be a knight, Didier. Didier? If I just said that and it's wrong, then we just accept it, it's fine. Ha! That I am. War is the men's job, after all. I want you to be there to welcome me home. Didier. Oh! Didier! 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 If I'm saying the name wrong, that's really bad, but I'm in a bit of a bind. Oh, hello there, Michelle. I didn't know you were home. Yours? Two silent G's. Just got back, yep. Moho, playing chess again, are you? Let's see, what do we have here? Get away from the board. Yikes, you got trounced, huh? And you call yourself her big brother. As if you're any better. It's not funny, George. With some combination. I cannot approve of someone who can't keep up with the flow of battle becoming a knight. Given our family's rank, you would eventually be put in charge of other soldiers. What? Are you worried about me? No, I'm saying... I've been blessed with such a caring sister. But fear not. I have a guardian angel after all. Where's the logic in that? Sorry to interrupt your moment, but, does nobody listen to me? Now, don't pout. So, seems to be the problem, George. Ah, yes, listen to this. The royal court is holding a swordsmanship show, and for some reason, I was selected to participate. How unfortunate for you. I can already see you on the ground sobbing. Hey now, that's just mean. Besides, my hands weren't meant to hold a sword. Look at these dainty fingers. They're covered in calluses. Dainty calluses. Tell me, why would they have an artist sword fight? That's the whole point, I would think. No need to get so worked up. No one's expecting you to win. Maybe not, but we do have a name to worry about. And you know what that means, don't you? I'm going to lose. That's a given. But I want to do it in style. feel bad for your sword. Oh, don't be like that. Now come on, time's a-wasting. To the courtyard we go. Just so you know, if I train you, I'm going to train you right. All I want to know is how to look good. What is it, Michelle? May I watch? Fine with me, but you know you can't go outside. I'll be watching from the hall. I can open one of the windows facing the courtyard. Still, you need to be careful. Can't spend too much time in the sun. I know. I had two older brothers. The eldest, Didier, belonged to an order of knights that served the church, and below him was George, who served as a court artist. He was, in all likelihood, who would inherit the family estate, as knights were not formally allowed to own property. Nevertheless, the Bollinger family name was upheld by Didier. And then there was me, the youngest, the only daughter. Physically, I was not in particularly good health. Because of the color of my skin, I was hypersensitive to sunlight. I rarely left the estate. My world was contained entirely within these walls. Perhaps out of some sense of pity or compassion, my two brothers spent a good deal of time with me. Didier played chess with me, and George taught me how to draw. And among other things, they taught me how to read and write. For a girl, I was incredibly fortunate. The one thing I wasn't allowed to do, though, was hold a sword. While hardly anything unusual, it bothered me deeply, and it had for as long as I could remember. If I had been told I couldn't do it because I lacked the strength, I probably would have accepted it. But the reason given was not that I was weak, but that I was a girl. And with each passing year, that smoldering frustration in the back of my heart grew larger. Come on, put your back into it. Like I said, all I want is to put on a good show. Oh, you'll put on quite a show, unless you learn how to swing that sword properly. Give me a break. Out in the garden, my two brothers traded swings bare-chested. All I could do, though, was observe from afar. And every time I found myself forced to watch, I felt a sharp pain, like a needle piercing my chest. A needle that seemed to be growing ever thicker. My mother and my brothers loved me dearly, but that didn't change the fact that the outside world lay beyond my reach. I was trapped in the estate by my own body. At first, I thought that was the root of my pain, but that answer seemed to contradict something inside me, something I couldn't explain, something I couldn't ignore even as a child. So I searched within myself, trying to find an explanation for the constantly swelling sensation of wrongness inside me. Day after day, I'd gazed in the cavern of my own heart. My, now what are the two of them doing out there? George was asked to do a swordsmanship show at the royal court, so Didier's helping him. Swordsmanship? Oh, I just can't stand those shows. Blades are so dangerous. I can't watch people swinging them at each other. Why don't you come back to your room with me, Michelle? I would love to teach you how to sew. Girly things. But Mom, I want to watch them practice. Michelle? First of all, you need to watch how you speak, young lady. You do not call me Mom, you call me Mother. This is what happens when you spend so much time around boys. As your mother, I don't approve of you playing chess or making art. A woman has no need for such skills. They will only make you look insolent. But I want you to grow up to be a respectable woman. That is my job and my dream as your mother. Now come. I would rather you looked at some fine embroidery with me than a couple of sweaty men. What a drag. Yes, Mother. You are my little girl after all. Spending time with my mother was agonizing. Was it because her world was so isolated? No, that wasn't it. Her gentle voice, sweet scent of her perfume, the way she constantly told me how much she loved me, and her diatribes about how wonderful it was to be a girl. Everything she did put so much pressure on me. But above all, she loved to say, "You are my little girl after all." And there was nothing strange about that at all. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw the daughter of a noble. That was who I was. So the only thing wrong was how I felt. But every time I was faced with the reality of who I was, or reality of who I was, my heart wavered. I had no interest in learning to embroider. I didn't understand why that was necessary. I knew what purpose it served. Everything she taught me I would need when I was wed off to some noble boy, and it was my responsibility to learn those things. It didn't feel right, though. I couldn't even accept the fact that one day I would be married. It was but an ominous shadow lurking in my future. I would have preferred ravaging the books in Didier's room than having a conversation with my mother. Tales of heroes of old and dauntless soldiers, military texts written by tacticians in the midst of war. Thinking about them set my heart aflutter and made me think about my brother. He was training to be a knight. I envisioned armor flecked with rust, a long sword glimmering with the blood of savages. Soon I found myself in my fantasies, imagining how the sword would feel in my hands, the sensation of the hilt beneath my fingers, swinging it gallantly like my brother. How heavy was it? How much muscle would I need to carry it? How much impact would I feel in my hands when I struck something? How restricted would my vision be wearing a helmet? How much did it weigh? How hot was it inside? I had no way of answering any of those questions, though. Kill me now! I have some cloth, if you'd like to wipe yourself off. Oh yeah, thanks. I'm so dead. You were at it for a long time. I've never known D is to half-ass something once he gets started, which I guess is what makes him knight material, but... Are you opposed to him becoming a knight? Well, you know, kind of assumed he'd inherit the estate and handle taking care of everything. So it's like, why's he gotta go and be some priest's whipping boy? Don't tell him I said that, though. He wants to fight for the greater good. I don't know. Despite the name, he wouldn't be doing much fighting himself. Anyway, someone as passionate as him might be able to make changes for the better. Changes? He knows what condition the order is in. That's why he's joining. Figure he wants to whip him into shape, meld him down and reforge the whole thing. Huh. So he might be able to change things. What? What are you muttering about, Michelle? Hey. Whoa, hold it. The pain I felt in my chest when I smelled the sweat emanating from George's body. When I looked at his slender but distinctly male build, I was convinced it was admiration. Did I want to become a knight too? Maybe the discomfort I felt was because I wanted to be like him. Would it all go away if he were able to change the rules and I could join the order as well? I was positive it would. Cue the Mulan montage. Didier. Michelle, hold on. You can't come barging into my room unannounced. I'm trying to change. We need to talk. I said stop. You're a girl. You can't just walk in on a man as he's changing. I see no reason for you to be so self-conscious. Listen to me, Michelle. George tells me you're planning to overhaul the order. He told you that? No, I hardly have such grand aspirations. Don't be coy. I believe you have what it takes to do it, Didier. What's gotten into you? You're unusually fiery today. So I want to ask you a favor. When you have enough influence in the order, I would like you to make me a knight too. You what? I'm tired of the way Mother treats me. Always saying I can't do this or that because I'm a girl. I want to learn how to swing a sword. I don't want to do embroidery. I don't care about jewelry or fancy clothing. Michelle, what's gone into you? I'm so much more interested in the world you live in, Didier. So please, well, I'll be. Suppose we must have let ourselves spend too much time with you. Not you too. It's exactly what Mother said. First of all, Michelle, you don't have the strength to hold a sword. Then I'll train until I do. And if that doesn't work, I still have my mind. You know how good and well I could. People are not chess pieces, Michelle. But Didier. But above all, you're missing the most important point. I will not, for any reason, become the kind of man who makes a woman take up a sword. Didier. This may seem normal to you, growing up with two brothers, but I want you to listen to me, Michelle. Men and women walk different paths. Men wield swords and fight against dangerous enemies, and they do so to protect the weak, women and children. I'm here to protect you and your mother. You're no different than her. You don't treat me any different than her. Honestly, what's gotten into you, Michelle? Why wouldn't I treat you like a daughter of the Bollinger estate? Your brother and I, we never meant to make you think. Forget it. What? I'm sorry. I knew what I was asking was foolish. Oh? But I thought you would understand how I feel. Even just a little bit. What was I expecting him to understand? Even I didn't understand the things I felt. I wanted to know what had gotten into me I wanted to know what had gotten into me far more than he did. What I had done was no better than throw a temper tantrum. Was I that desperate to become knight? No. I just thought that the key to the chains in my heart lay down that road, but ultimately there was nothing. Assuming Didier had agreed, and assuming I did become a knight, it wouldn't do anything for the core problem. As I dashed from my brother's room, I snuck a peek at him. His face was filled with an intense perplexity, and how could I blame him? I tried to push a dozen different ideals onto him at once, filled myself with a vain hope that he would somehow be able to make sense of me when I couldn't even make sense of myself. And now, bubbling with unwarranted anger at being let down, I fled to my own chambers. I can only imagine how frustrating that must have been for him. It was the spring of my 14th year. Heavy clouds filled the sky, blocking out the sun and giving the impression of late evening all throughout the day. I, for one, preferred it when the sun wasn't out. Not that sunlight would kill me, but if it was bright enough, the whole world was so white I could hardly see a thing, which meant I could only go outside on days when the weather made most everyone else gloomy. As I was meandering through the courtyard, I spotted someone I had never seen before. A warm breeze blew past, sending up a swirl of flower petals. The girl's dress hung lightly over her frame, tracing her gentle curves. "Who are you?" I asked bluntly, and the girl twirled around, smiling. "My apologies. You just have such a beautiful courtyard here, I let myself in for a little walk." Long chestnut hair flowed over round, feminine shoulders. It swayed slightly in the wind. The cloud of melancholy dissipated in the light of her smile. "You must be Michelle. You're just as pretty as I heard." "And you are?" "My name is Amy. It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Finally meet me? What was she talking about? As I stood there, baffled by the strange woman, she stepped toward me, kissing me softly on the cheek. "I'm thrilled to make your acquaintance, Michelle." Her voice was like someone pouring honey into my ear, electrifyingly sweet. "I'm George's fiancé." And it also stuck another needle into my chest. Mi corazón! She was a noble girl by the name of Amy Joubert. Joubert. Though only 15, she was the very image of refined, polished to a shine. No one had told me my brother was to be married. It came out of nowhere, and it seemed like I was the only one who didn't know. That evening, when the family gathered around the table for supper, Amy was there too, and they prepared an extravagant feast for the occasion. My father Antonin looked so proud of his two boys, Didier soon to receive his assignment, and George soon to be wed. The banquet proceeded smoothly, not a doubt in the air that we were a happy family, but my mind was elsewhere. I found myself unconsciously chasing Amy with my eyes, watching the way those slender fingers gripped her spoon. Shell down bad. Her full lips parting to allow a piece of fruit in. Oh man. Her deep red tongue visible for but the briefest of moments. The way all the muscles in her face seemed to relax in bliss as sweet juices seeped into her mouth. The way this is written, oof. Pining to the max. The way she spoke, so soft and gentle, letting each sound hang in the air just briefly before intoning the next. She was distinctly feminine, in a different way than my mother. Apparently, Amy was going to be living at the Blunder estate for some time. Mother was pleased to have another girl around, or more specifically, she was relieved to have found someone other than my brothers for me to spend time with. I'd assumed I would have hated being around another girl. Surely she wouldn't be able to play chess after all. But for some reason, I felt much less suffocated around her than my mother. It's tough, man. The agony. I feel for Michelle. This is tough. This is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking. Everything. Alright, one night, Amy's family, an array of nobles from both houses, social circles, assembled at the estate for a party. A din the likes of which I'd never heard in my life filled the great hall. Everywhere I looked, there were people. Servants scrambled every which way. Silverware clanged against dishes in an almost constant hum. Voices from all directions. I felt moderately ill. Hey D, I feel like we're critically short on waiters. This don't look good for us. This don't look good for us. And who was it who went about inviting everyone he came across again? Who are those people? They're artists like me. I met them at the court. Let's see, we have some painters, composers, sculptors, troubadours, poets, writers, you name it. None of them have any connection to the Juberts or Bollingers. Sure they do. They're my friends. And you know, this is me and Amy's party. You can play with your friends elsewhere. I hope you realize we have a reputation to uphold. Off in one corner, several men, presumably George's friends, gathered in a circle. They stood out from the other aristocrats, both in appearance and the air they gave off. The clothes they wore, the embroidery hidden beneath their jacket cuffs. Their manner of speech, the way they held themselves. They were, simply put, a far cry from the hard-headed Didier's ideal party guests. Even watching them from afar, it was clear my two brothers ran in very different crowds. The only reason headstrong Didier and free-spirited George were able to get along at all was because they were brothers. If they had been strangers, I doubt their paths would cross much, and if they did, those intersections would be quite rocky. Hey, come here, guys! George's shouting voice pulled my preoccupied mind back to the surface. He summoned his friends, then led them to where I stood. What are you doing hiding in the corner, Michelle? I didn't even notice you. Allow me to introduce you to a few of my friends. Oh, no, George put his hands on my shoulders, peeling me off the wall and standing me in front of his male friends. Socialization was the last thing on my mind. I searched for Didier, hoping he would come to my rescue, but he was off trading pleasantries, facing away from me. This is my baby sister Michelle, be nice. George, I don't... Graces, your skin is even more pale than I imagined. It's like something out of a fairy tale. Why have you never brought her with you to the court? She'd be a sure hit. And how old are you now? 12, mayhap? Now, don't treat the lady like a child. How have you know she's 14? All the more reason she should be out there making friends. The whole court flip if they knew you had such a gorgeous sister, Georges. Don't be a brute, my man. Our little angel has to be kept inside for personal reasons. Uh-oh, sounds like I haven't been showing the lady her due respect. I've yet to even properly introduce myself. How rude, indeed. I don't like the man. Yep. It's tough. It's... Oh, God. Age thing. The age thing, I know it's a different time period, yada yada, whatever the fuck. Still don't like it. I don't exist in that time period. I don't have to like it. I don't have to like the idea. Even throw away the age thing. Even I don't even like some random stranger you meet for the first time being like, "Oh, your sister's so hot. You should have fucking you bring her around to the court. She'd be a hit." Oh my God, all the people would be excited. It's like, stop, please. I've yet to even properly introduce myself. How rude indeed. Their laughs grated on my nerves, and so did the way George spoke as though I was his property. They looked like they were appraising me, which made me sick to my stomach. I'd been paying enough attention to notice the man who had asked if I was 12, and the rest of them too, examining me from head to toe in search of curves. I was, indeed, underdeveloped for 14, but what did that matter? I didn't want a body shaped like Amy's or my mother's. Now then, milady, a proper greeting. The man got down on one knee before me. For a split second, I didn't comprehend what he was doing. Go on, Michelle. He's waiting, he whispered into my ear. That was when it all came back to me. The traditional greeting performed between a man and a woman. Come on, Michelle. Don't tell me you forgot what to do. I knew. I knew the process. I had that knowledge. Mother had taught me the rules, shown me the procedure. I was to present my hand to the man for him to kiss. All I had to do was hold out my hand, but I was frozen. My body fought tooth and nail against the simple act. The thought of that man putting his lips on my skin sent a chill through me. Why? Why was this a traditional greeting? Why did I have to go through this? Michelle! But the sound of George's frantic voice, my arm creaked up from my side. Then, I remembered that despite being his friends, they were still nobility. As wanton as his social interactions may have been, he still had a reputation to maintain. And I understood that. I also understood that, as their sister, it was my responsibility not to do anything that might tarnish either of my brothers' names. Also, by tradition, the man wasn't supposed to actually kiss the woman's hand. The proper way to do it required to simply mimic the act rather than making real contact. That much I could handle. The man kneeling before me gave me an uncomfortable chuckle at my reluctance, shrugged, and reverently took my hand in his. And then he pressed his lips firmly against my skin. Oh, we gotta kick him in the balls. Swift kick to the nuts is needed. There was a vaguely warm sensation on the back of my hand for the briefest moment. What are you? Reflexively, I smacked the man's hand away. George's eyes went wide in horror, and the man gave another playful shrug. I was merely offering you a greeting, milady. Or is even that a new experience to you? Your innocence is truly precious. I was half a second away from throwing a barrage of insults, but I bit my tongue and stomped off instead. What? Michelle, hey, come back, Michelle! I'd spent all that time convincing myself I couldn't humiliate my brothers, but now I wouldn't have a word of it. I had drawn a fair bit of attention, and other people tried to stop me too, but I brushed them all off, marching my way out of the Great Hall. I feel so dirty. You called that a greeting? No, that was no greeting. That was... I'll be taking that. I say, practically swiping a glass of water off a passing waiter's tray. With it, I washed my hand by the window facing the courtyard. But no matter how much water I poured over it, I couldn't erase the sickening sensation of his mouth on my hand. So I rubbed it with my sleeve until my skin was bright red. I wanted to feel something else, anything else, even pain. Think before you act, Georges. What were you doing inviting people like that into our home? I was angry, and had every right to be. He had not performed the proper greeting. Even in jest, he had no business actually putting his lips on my hand. It was not acceptable behavior for an aristocrat. He was a guest. He should have been ashamed. Was I angry that he had been disrespectful? No, that wasn't the reason. It was... That was very nice of you, running off like that. At the sound of his voice, oh god, I couldn't turn back. I felt a sickening warmth almost directly against my back. The man from the Great Hall grabbed me by my wrists, spun me around, and pressed me against the wall. The bitter scent of wine wafted from above. The hell are you doing? I tried a second time to get away from him, and that was when reality sunk in. I couldn't do it. All the strength I could muster wasn't enough to make the man's hand budge. My arms were locked in place. Jesus. I need a sip of water real quick. Okay. I didn't think it was especially strong either. He was hardly built like Didier, and still couldn't move an inch. Got a tongue like a boy, milady, but I know some people's fond of that these days. Can't say I'm mine myself. Let go! Had I always been this feeble? Were my arms truly so worthless I couldn't even escape this brute's grip? Why did I have to get stuck with this body? Now, just so we're clear, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm no monster, promise you that. Then why are you holding me against the wall? Because I want a chance to try and woo you. Oh, I just threw it in my mouth a little bit. I apologize if I made you uncomfortable back there, but the second I laid eyes on you, I knew you were a keeper. Then let go of me. But if I do that, you'll run away. And it's my personal rule to never let go of anything I like. Your brother says you can't go outside, so if I set you loose now, I might never get a chance to catch you again. I wanted to vomit. Me too. Apparently, taking my silence for approval, the man perked up and kept going. If you're not accustomed to being around men, then why not use this as an opportunity to get familiar? Not a half-bad idea, if I do say so myself, and I think we'd get along quite well. Besides, I'm a minstrel. Spend some time with me and I'll write you all the songs you could possibly want. Get away from me! Ah, you really do have the most striking eyes. Makes me want to keep them all for myself. With a muse like that, I could write the most incredible songs you've ever heard. I said get back, you creep! Huh? That's odd. That one's never failed me. The man brought his face in just inches from mine and peered into my eyes. I could feel his hot, wine-stenched breath against my cheeks. It gave me the chills. Couldn't understand why this was happening to me. Panic and confusion had my heart racing. Go try your luck with someone else. I'm not interested. You will be soon enough, darling. You've simply never known a man's touch. He drew closer. He was already practically on top of me, but still he closed in. Closer, closer. The world faded out. I couldn't see anything. I could feel his rising body heat so near it made me nauseous. My eyes flung open, but there was nothing there. I only felt. I could only feel. I couldn't move. My body wouldn't budge. In my mind, I kicked the man away, pulled my fist back and slammed it into his jaw, again and again and again until his face was unrecognizable. Again and again and again and again I beat him, but reality would have none of that. Michelle! Hey, what do you think you're doing? 3 seconds? 10 seconds? Longer? I had no idea how much time I had lost, but the next thing I knew, George had the man by the collar. I fell back against the wall, staring absent-mindedly as the two struggled. They traded blows and they traded insults. Before long, they had drawn a crowd. While they went at it, I distractedly drifted away, and only had one place to go. I didn't even bother to light a candle. I just stared into the darkness. My heartbeat was maddeningly loud in my otherwise silent chambers. What had happened? What had he done to me? Why? Why couldn't I do anything? The last thing I wanted to do was cry. Tears would only serve to worsen my humiliation, only magnify how wretched I was, only make me more effete. I bit down on my lip hard. I had no need for that trash on my body. I dug my nails into my arms. I had no need for that trash on my body. All of this, every last bit of it, that was why I was the way I was. I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't know how to express this boundless frustration within me. But after enough wordless groaning, a single word slipped from my lips, and it felt incredibly right. God damn it. I knew good and well a girl should not be using such words. Didier and Georges would have gotten an earful from mother or father if they were caught saying that. Regardless. God damn it! It was the most fitting word I could come up with to represent even the smallest bit of my anger and loathing. I knew all I was doing was shifting the blame, that all it would accomplish was making me look pitiful. But I would take that over crying like a girl any day. Ah! I let loose a sigh that was halfway to being a scream, then started clawing wildly at my hair. I wanted to yank out every last damn strand of it. I didn't want it. I didn't want any of it. Any of this body. But in that case, what did I want from my body? Michelle? May I come in, Michelle? It was George's voice, slightly muffled through the door. The man who had invited these people into this house. I'd be lying if I said I didn't hold that against him. Michelle. But at the same time, he had also come to my rescue. Besides, I hated myself the most. I despised myself for being so helpless. I'm sorry, Michelle. I didn't mean to hurt you. It's not locked. After a few moments of silence, George stepped into my room. Your hair's a mess, Michelle. And my God, you're bleeding. That was when I first noticed a stinging sensation in my lower lip. A metallic taste spread through my mouth. I'd been biting it much harder than I realized, and there was a lot more blood than I expected. A trail of it was running down my chin, seconds from spilling onto my clothes when George wiped it away. I'm really sorry, Michelle. He can be a real ass when he drinks. And he's a bit of a womanizer at that. I never expected he'd try to go after you, though. I'm really sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. But, you know, there's a chance he may have, genuinely taken a liking to you. That just makes it worse. Sorry. Ugh. You're right. You want to be with a man you like. I understand. He ran his hands through my hair, as if trying to calm me down, at the same time cleaning up the mess I had made of it. It made me feel like I was some kind of plaything, a joke of a doll. I don't want to be with anyone. I would never ever be comfortable with a man putting his hands on me like that. However, I'm sure you'll find someone eventually, Michelle. Someone that feels right for you. I feel kind of awful for introducing you to him, but there are plenty of men in the world. You might not be interested now, but that'll change soon. It's part of growing up. You'd be best off forgetting today ever happened. I don't like your fucking attitude, sir. I don't like how nonchalant you're being about this. Or nonchalant. I don't like how whimsical you still kind of sound like. You just witnessed a terrible thing happening. And I am genuinely pissed. If I was Michelle and I'm giving him the face that Michelle looks to be given right now to him. I was dead certain, but apparently that wasn't enough to convince him. The very idea that I might one day meet a man who I wanted to touch me made my skin crawl. Why? Why did I feel like this? Was I just not interested in men? No, if that were the case, I wouldn't admire my brother's bodies. I didn't have an aversion to men. In fact, I enjoyed spending time with my brothers far more than indulging my mother in her woman's world. What I couldn't stand was the particular look men would sometimes give me. But why? Why did I not like that? I had no answer. My thoughts were only going in circles. Are you okay, Michelle? He peered down at me, his face twisted in concern, but I couldn't answer him. How was I supposed to articulate this? My anger, my frustration, my irritation, my fear. I had no confidence he would understand. George, how's Michelle? Amy's voice came from the doorway. Ah, yes, just who we need to mix into all this. Amy's voice came from the doorway. Inexplicably, I felt like someone had stuck their hand in my chest and it was now squeezing my heart. Like I had just been caught in a compromising situation by the last person I wanted to see me. Yeah, she's doing good. Aren't you? Yes, I'm fine. Glad to hear it. I was clearly lying, not even looking him in the eyes when I'd said that, but that seemed to have gone over George's head. Amy, on the other hand. You don't look fine at all, she said, a hint of pain in her voice, and then entered the room. George, father was asking for you. He says it's time to bring the gathering to a close. You should get going. I'll stay here with her. Oh, is he? All right then. Sounds good. Once the sound of George's footsteps had faded into nothing, Amy took a seat beside me and, without warning, wrapped her arms around my shoulders. It's much better to talk to another girl at times like this. My heart leapt into my throat, but beyond the shock, I also found myself welcoming the warmth. It was pleasant, unlike the man's. It must have been terrifying, but don't worry, you're safe now. It wasn't really... No. No need to pretend, sweetie. If a man had me pinned against a wall, I'd be scared too. I mean it. I wasn't scared. I'm just disappointed in myself. Alright, I believe you. You're a strong girl, Michelle. There aren't many who wouldn't have been scared. I'll be sure to give George a stern talking to about his choice in friends. Something I learned today is that he's somewhat of a pushover. You're a lot more tenacious than I thought. As a woman in this world, you have to be. And if you're not, well, you'll figure it out soon enough, Michelle. Of course, even as strong as you are, I'm sure it'll still be difficult to forget what happened to you today. George had told me to forget it as soon as possible, and Amy that I wouldn't be able to. Was it the difference in their individual perspectives, or was it the difference between the way men and women thought? I wasn't sure. As my head rested against her breast, a bit of my frustration slipped out. I couldn't move my arms at all. He didn't even seem all that strong. Couldn't believe that I was really so weak. That's just the way of the world, Michelle. Men are physically stronger than women, so you almost never overpower one. You're not any weaker than a normal girl. Don't blame yourself. Though it wasn't the consolation I had hoped for, her words still filled me with warmth. I had exploited my own weakness to hear more of that soothing voice, and I alone knew how foolish I was in doing so. Oh, heavy shit, man. It's ending on such a sad note, or frustrating note maybe, but I do have to go. I'm actually being summoned and called for somewhere else. So we'll break there a little under 2 hours, but it'll be fine. Heavy stuff. Maybe some stuff I could have seen coming from even longer ago if I thought about it harder. But it now, something's starting to like click in your head, in my head at least. I'm like, yeah, okay. As I said before, it makes sense. Like I said, it makes a bit more sense for that whole a reason why maybe Michelle/Mikkel was casted away from the family. If there's something as scandalous where this seems to be going, it seems as if Michelle is going to hit like a breaking point, I assume, and make a decision that then the rest of the family obviously doesn't agree with. You would assume, you could probably understand why. Definitely around this, like, it would be like, we have a sense of where this is kind of going, probably, and it's all clicking into place. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting. I'm just gonna keep saying that. Very interesting. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching, as always. With how his story ended, I'm suspicious of the Night Brother. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm very curious about the dynamic between the two of them. Because the older brother... Well... Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm very interested. Yeah. I'll be curious to see. I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited for Friday's stream of this. To get more into this. I'm sure we'll be feeling sad. I'm sure. Oh. God, seeing the final moment where probably a decision is made and then being casted out of the family kind of thing is gonna be sad, probably. Ugh. It's gonna be heart-wrenching. Oh, fuck. Oh, I'm not ready for it. Oh, God. Okay. I think tomorrow, I landed on checking out more Deltarune Chapter 5. Tomorrow is going to be the plan. Obviously, no stream Thursday. So that will be the rest of the week. Friday, of course, being back Fata Morgana. But I want to try to get a couple, 2 or 3 hours into Deltarune so that then we can maybe finish that then this weekend. Is probably, because we're probably not finishing it tomorrow, but if we can get to a point where we can maybe get close enough to finishing so that we'll see the end of that this weekend, that's going to be the goal. As I said, thanks for watching, whether live or archived. If you're a VOD watcher on YouTube, either way, hope you're enjoying. Hope I'm doing the story justice. I know it's heavy, it's deep sometimes. I'm sometimes making shitty jokes. There's always the whole, oh man, am I doing the thing? Am I doing the story justice? I'm trying my bestest. I'm trying as best as I can. It's all good. It's all fun. All right. Until tomorrow night's stream of Deltarune. Have a good one. Have a good night. Take it easy. Thanks. Appreciate it. As always, appreciate it.